All right, so it's been a while since I made a video. I feel like I say that all the time, but we're going to talk about the 3 things that I wish I did differently in business. Now, this is not something to say that like I regret any of these things, but I feel like they were learning lessons and foundational steps that I needed to take in order to get to the place that I currently am today. So after 8 years of running my marketing business and working with some of the top names in the industry, these are some of the things that I pretty much wish I did a little bit differently or I learned a little bit faster. But again, I've had to go through them in order to know the value of them. And let me just mention that the second one is super, super important. And I also want to preface that the things I'm about to mention are things that I did when I was still building the foundations of the business. And some of it may or may not be affecting me in different timelines, right? In different places. So things are just a little bit different now. But if I had worked on these, I would have been in a much stronger position than I am now. That's not to say I'm not in a strong position, of course, but it's a good way to program your mind for the future. So if it could shed some light on anyone, then that's my goal. So let's jump into it. Okay, so the first one is going to be giving my time to things that don't really matter, especially at the wrong time, and also not giving enough time to the things that do matter. So what do I mean by this? Well, for the first one of like giving my time to things that don't matter, especially at the wrong time, would probably be something like going to like all these masterminds and events, especially like early on in the stage. Now, there's a caveat to this, okay? I don't regret them per se, but sometimes some of the events that I've been to are just pitch fests and like people who just aren't really pushing themselves per se. Like, I don't want to throw shade at the ClickFunnels event. I've been to like 4 of them and I think they're really good. But when you step into an event like that, you learn 15 different things to apply into your business. And I feel like, in my humble opinion, that's why people kind of get stuck, because there's so many things that you could do and then you get stuck in like over analysis. Maybe that's just me, but going to 4 of these events, I've seen this to be a recurring theme between everyone. Now, don't get me wrong. The events were great. I've met some incredible people there, and I'm friends with a lot of them, and we still talk to this day, right? But when you overemphasize going to events and spending all of the money instead of actually applying it, that's when it becomes a problem. Okay. One of the like the biggest lessons I've learned is you can go to all these events, but as long as you take one thing to apply and focus on it, that's what really matters. But like going there and like over analysis and like getting all of this information from different sources, it's like, okay, cool, but take it with a grain of salt and apply one thing. So things like that is where I'm kind of like, I can either just spend time applying, or I could spend time going to all these events and learning all these things and feel like I'm doing something, where in reality, it's not really doing anything, right? Okay, so now what I don't regret is traveling to new places when the time is right. Because like recently, I've been traveling a lot more because of how much work I've been putting in. I think it's fair that I take a bit of a break. So I've been to places like Spain, St. Thomas, Italy, and obviously that's not to brag, but I'm a guy who likes adventure and I like to see different things and meet different people. So when the time is right, I believe that it's worth spending your time doing things that you love to do, obviously. And of course, I don't regret spending time with my family and my friends, because going through the ruts every single day, you definitely need to reset and refresh, and you want to be able to give time to the people that you love and the people that have supported you from day one. Okay, so the next one is overextending your timelines. So one of the people that I met at ClickFunnels actually was Omar Elatar. We had some cigars. I met a bunch of people around him as well. And then a couple years later, we worked on a project together, and then we just became friends through that. And so when I went to fly out to him, he actually flew me out to go help him with a couple things. He taught me a lesson that Grant Cardone, I'm pretty sure, taught him, was how can you shorten the timeline it takes to accomplish certain things. So like if you have a 10-year goal, what's the reason that you cannot turn it into an 8-year or even 5-year or even 2-year goal, right? Like if your goal is to become, a millionaire within 10 years, why can't you do it in 5? And so like when I was hearing this, I was like, what's the reason that people cannot shorten that time frame? It's probably because they're just not resourceful enough. So like, what does it mean to be resourceful? Well, you ask yourself, like, who can help you with this? What do you need? Who do you need to speak to? And why can't it be shorter? What are some of the restrictions that are preventing it from shortening that timeline? So when you ask yourself those questions, you figure out the blind spots on what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong in order to shorten that time frame, right? Because if other people can do it, why can't you? Like, what are the preventing factors? What are the bottlenecks, right? So shortening time frames is super, super important. Okay, number 3 is not having tight control over my expenses, especially in the beginning. Now, I want to preface this by saying at the time I had very good visibility and awareness of what was going in and what was going out. But like, especially when you're starting out, when you're making a lot more cash flow than you're used to, then you start to be a little bit more, I want to say, like, riskier or adventurous with how you're spending, because more opportunities to spend become available to you, right? Like going to fancier restaurants, traveling, right? Like overpaying for talent, going to like events without an ROI. Now, let me preface this. There is no problem with paying people what they deserve, 100%. But sometimes in certain situations, it doesn't make sense to overpay when you're still trying to get things up off the ground. So like, looking back at it, higher expenses are what constricted my growth, because there was cash flow coming in, sure, but the cash flow wasn't being applied into certain things that are moving the business forward. Because when you don't have any cash reserves to reinvest into what matters, then there won't be any company growth. And so the motto I've been trying to live by is, if you can live or operate your business without it, then you probably don't need it, right? Now, that's also not to say like spoil yourself a couple times here and there, totally fine. But when it matters most, going back to the theme of like timing, when it matters most, there's a time and place for everything, right? There's seasons of growth and there's seasons where you need to hunker down, keep the cash flow and not spend anything, right? Because in our lives, especially, things are always up and down. So you need to have cash that will basically protect you for when that season comes. So look, I hope that helped. Those are my 3 lessons. This video was kind of short, but if this did help you, go ahead and share it to someone else so that we can also help them as well. And feel free to subscribe, because I'm going to make more content like this. And let me know in the comments what you thought was the most important lesson for you. I'll see you in the next one.